passionate about Cleveland sports.
He's going in! Touchdown!
Browns, Indians, Cavs, the Big Ten, and more.
Cleveland is a city of champions once again!
Andy and Jared, Cleveland and beyond.
A swing and a drive! To deep right!
Here are your hosts, Andy Billman and Jared Watson.
And we are live on Facebook. Hello and welcome. Andy and Jared, Cleveland and beyond. He's Andy Billman. I'm Jared Watson. And this podcast is brought to you by Waiting for Next Year. Check them out. Original Cleveland sports reporting at waitingfornextyear.com. Well, it's been 2 weeks since our last podcast. We got a lot to catch up on. So much fun stuff. The Browns have split games, winning at home against the Bengals 24-16. But once again, a complete letdown. The joy of victory was short-lived as the Browns face-planted against Arizona, 38-24. Kind of saw it coming. I think Andy did too. And to compound that, the week leading up in Berea, there's been plenty of noise around the team, starting with, according to reports, the Browns have given Freddie Kitchens a vote of confidence. Baker's comments, he said some stuff about training staff. That was great after the Cincy game. The ongoing Beckham conversation, come and get me. Oh, we'll get into more of that.
Yes.
Njoku, a healthy scratch. That's leaving us scratching our heads a little bit. And finally, Baker's hate list has been updated. Hooray. Many more stories, actually, according to the latest playoff projections. And the Browns have a 0.8% chance of getting into the playoffs. It felt dumb even saying it just now. The Indians also made the news on Sunday as they trade away Corey Kluber to the Rangers. Some people like that move. Other people don't, especially considering what they got in compensation for that move. Still, rumors swirling about Lindor and the possibility of him landing in L.A. College football playoffs are set. That at least has me smiling. The Buckeyes take on the Clemson Tigers, and LSU plays Oklahoma. Ohio native Joe Burrow, this was expected as well, wins the Heisman. We're going to go ahead and discuss the Cavs' latest Kevin Love trade rumors. That seems like it's going to be a done deal sooner rather than later. But first, as Clark Griswold would say, hallelujah, holy shit, where's the Tylenol? Andy, let's start with the Browns.
Cleveland Browns.
You know, it's like your weird Uncle Lewis. You know, you you know he's weird. You know he does bad stuff, but yet you keep bringing him back to Christmas or for those who celebrate different holidays. You bring him back every year.
I kicked Uncle Lewis out with 7:30 to go in the fourth quarter. That's just me, though.
And I'm that passive-aggressive drunk who says, I want to watch the whole fucking car wreck.
Nope.
I'm here.
Nope. I had Mandalorian to catch on. I was done. Daughter and I sat down, watched Mandalorian. We were good.
I saw Beckham get nailed across the middle, and Nick Chubb sat out the final series, which was odd since all the starters were on the field except for Nick Chubb. I'm going to get to that in a second. So this season of dreams of 2019 is finally over. I am now moving forward.
Season of nightmares.
Season of nightmares. It was over after the Steeler game, but, sometimes you need a pronouncement, and it's been pronounced. And, Jared and I spoke on Wednesday, and Jared kind of alluded to it. And I said Wednesday before the Sunday game against the Cardinals, I go, I don't think the Browns are going to win. I go, I don't like any of this buildup. I go, to have such a dramatic turn of events after a win, which didn't feel great against the Bengals, to go right into the comments of your starting quarterback saying, I don't think the training staff did a good job. Some for better players. You just got a whole build up to it. You also got this whole feeling that Freddie Kitchens was going to be, which I've been saying on this podcast for 2 or 3 weeks now. Freddie's got to go. I feel more people jumping on my bandwagon, which is fun. But, and again, he's nothing personal. I do like Freddie, but he's just a terrible coach. And we saw displayed said event again against the Arizona Cardinals. The biggest, though, thing that I'm going to hammer today is Baker Mayfield. I've been saying sophomore slump. I'm ready to go more deep dive now, Jared. He's having a really bad year. This is now not a sophomore slump. This is now, I'm actually, for the first time, concerned, is he broken? I thought his press conference, he looked terrible. He got, both him and Freddie Kitchens got cottonmouth after the game, because I think they were starting to understand the severity of this loss. And look, it's, again, one of those easy reads. The Browns got blown off the ball. They were down 14-0. The whole game really just never felt right from that opening drive. Hey, by the way, Steve Wilkes, nice job of getting revenge against your old club. Your defense got mowed over time and time again. Just terrible. And, Jarvis Landry and the whole thing with Coach Freddie on the field, and then him and Beckham, which you did a nice job of posting on Facebook, those two on the sidelines, really finishes it up. But again, I think with all this mess going on, and we'll get back to Freddie, I do want to first lead off, though, with Baker. Jared, I'm actually now going he got so outplayed by Kyler Murray, and I believe Freddie had a big part of this. Jared, I'm starting to wonder, though, how much is this going to carry on in his career? Because he really looks broken now.
He looks broken. This is the weird part about it, and the strange part about this is you're talking about a head coach now who is a former college quarterback, and a coach who has worked with quarterbacks, and a guy who helped turn that offense around in the second half of last season. Mm-hmm. And then here we are, and it's like, I honestly believe that a lot of the problems that we see with Baker and his development stem directly from Freddie not knowing how to raise him as a quarterback. He doesn't have him in a system that works for him. He's this perpetual gunslinger mentality has been torn to shreds repeatedly throughout the season. We have said it until we were blue in the face that you build the offense around Nick Chubb. Now, here's the thing with that, Andy. I get it. Nick Chubb is leading in rushing yards. He had 17 carries and 120 something, and got his share. Right? Great. I get it. It's not about Nick Chubb not getting the carries. It's about when he's getting the carries. We started out that first series, gunslinger. Ended up right.
Knew that was going to happen.
Interception in the end zone when they got the. You can't. I mean, this stuff, Andy. This idea that you go out and sling it when you should be building everything off of play action and working. I don't understand it. It's not. It's Nick Chubb is getting his runs. He's getting his share of carries. He looks great. You don't want to wear him out completely. You got Hunt back there too, but the point is it's not distributed in a way that works to help the offense get going.
I actually think they fight to allow Nick Chubb to take over games. Nick Chubb could take over games if he wanted to. But this coach, and I actually think the quarterback is actually playing a small role in this too, is not allowing Nick Chubb to get free into games and allow him to get into games and get into emotion. Nick Chubb is your best player by far. He should not have 17 carries. He should have 27 carries. And Hunt should have 10 carries. That's the ratio here. It's so simple. And again, it's the last drive. Who cares? You're down 21. But to watch Beckham and Landry and Mayfield still in the field, and you got Hunt in the game, and they brought in a second running back, Hilliard. Like, why in the hell is fucking Hilliard playing late in the fourth quarter when all your other starters are in the game and you're sitting Nick Chubb? That said everything to me. I think there is a bigger, and yes, that's Freddie's call. That's not Baker. That's Freddie's call. But there is a bigger thing going on here that we don't know about. Nick Chubb should be the centerpiece of this team. I'd rather see Nick Chubb talk after Freddie Kitchens. I'd rather see Nick Chubb being let out here with the big C on his chest. But it's not. And that's why I'm going back to Baker for a second. Baker is talented. We saw it in the last 8 games. Baker has the ability to lead. We saw that in the last 8 games. 2019, it hasn't even come close. And I think now we got to just start saying it's not just a sophomore slump. He's playing really bad. He's playing in the lower 5 quarterback type of bad stuff. And it's actually to the point now where he doesn't throw deep. And even when he throws, I felt this in the Arizona game. I'm holding my breath when he throws now.
Yeah.
I'm holding my breath. I don't know what's going to happen.
How many times did you, and I don't know, maybe it's just a little confirmation bias from things that I had seen, but didn't it feel like there were times where I would see him make a throw, and while the ball's in the air heading to whoever he was throwing to, I would see another Browns player wide open in the shot. Right?
Well,
is that just me, or did I not see that a handful of times yesterday?
AJ Feely did a great job in this game announcing. He was a great color man.
Yeah.
Because he kept saying Baker's only looking to one read. This team doesn't look inspired. And by the way, Jared, that's the reason why these other guys are open. Because Mayfield is not looking around to pass anybody else.
Well,
and
part of that goes to Andy. They were rushing to snap the ball a few times. They came out of a timeout and still almost ran the clock out.
Delay of game. They had delayed game after time of possession. That's on Freddie. And again, some of it those on Baker. Baker has got to start playing better. He has got to rise above this.
It's not going to happen this season, though.
No, this season's done.
It is.
And if you look, I'm going to tell you what, people are going to hate me on this podcast. If they bring Freddie Kitchens back, you're not going to want to hear what I think what 2020 is going to be like. Nick Chubb needs to be the centerpiece around this team. And I don't understand why they're fighting it. And they're not going to change. I've learned that. This is not going to change next week, and it's not going to change against Cincinnati. All right, so before the game starts, Ian Rappaport comes out with a report saying the Browns management, unless there's a catastrophic event, is going to keep him around. I don't need to go on a long display. The bigger thing is here, guys and girls out there, have you seen anything from Freddie where you think this team has gotten better? Have you seen anything next year where it's like, hey, if they roll over, they can develop some more players and whatever else, and I think things can get better and good. This team, as AJ Feely said, and I was going to say the same thing, and he hammered it home in the last 5 minutes, this team was not inspired. They appeared to be confused on multiple plays. This is a guy who has not covered a Browns game all year, and he actually sounded angry during the broadcast. Like, I don't understand what the Browns are doing here today. This is an outsider. I don't understand. I think the Browns have a...
Yeah, what was the game plan?
Oh, you know what the game plan was? And you and I talked about it on Wednesday. This Freddie Kitchens had in his head, I'm going to outslang Cliff Kingsbury. I'm going to show everything I can do. You know what, Nick Chubb, I'll run him a little bit, but not enough. I'm not going to play him in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter, because it's about me and this team. And he looked defeated after the game. And boy, Baker Mayfield looked like shit after the game. I don't know if that was his goal. But he had on a white T-shirt with a miracle hat, and he looked awful. He looked like he came out of a bar, out of a rough night. And Freddie Kitchens, towards the end of the press conference, too, his voice was crackling. And he was being nervous in front of the mic. There are so many things in this game. Browns, 23 run plays, 43 in the air. You don't need to say anything else. We just said it. Mayfield at this point is not getting better with passes.
Well, let's talk about that one series when we had a 3rd down and 2, and instead of running the ball,
my favorite play,
we had the shovel. We had that awkward shovel pass.
Of course, it didn't do anything. It was fucking stupid. And by the way, what were those first 2 plays before that? 2 run plays. They had 2 run plays to get to third and two. They got to 3rd and 2 because of 2 run plays. And what does this fucking team do? They do a fucking pitch play. They think they can fucking do things like this.
Oh.
And here's the other thing, too. This team,
air raid.
It's so obvious to everyone else, the AJ Feely, too. AJ Feely made me feel so good. It's like, all right, I'm not alone now.
Yeah, he was like an outside observer, saying everything that we are we crazy for thinking these things?
No, we're not.
Clearly not.
Not. And again, I thought a big thing in this game that happened late was watching Chubb on the sidelines while this team marches down the field. Now, look, if other starters were out, I wouldn't complain. But why is fucking Beckham and Landry and Hilliard and fucking Hunt and Baker in the game? Why aren't you putting your best player in the game if you're trying to score? You really think at this point Hilliard's playing better than Chubb?
I don't
don't fucking what to say anymore. How can you fucking think Hilliard's that good? He fucking stinks! He shouldn't be fucking in the game anymore!
Nope.
And let's go to the bigger picture. Where the fuck is John Dorsey? He's my guy.
Crickets,
I like
brother.
Dorsey. Where is he?
Crickets.
You know what? I don't want to hear any more Rappaport stuff. I want old school mafia. I want nothing until after the last game. How in the hell is Hilliard still returning kicks? How in the hell, late in the game with all your starters on the field, is Hilliard playing in big spots? I guess according to Freddie. Do you really think Hilliard gives you a better opportunity to score if you're putting all your starters in the game to get a meaningless touchdown with Chubb on the sideline?
You're
fucking lost.
He was giving Chubb a break.
Yeah, he was tired. Fucking bullshit. Bullshit!
He only had 17 carries. 128 yards. Wow.
He is leading the league in rushing, and the guy barely touches the ball. As animated as I was, so was Jarvis Landry, who got into that heated exchange. And Landry said after the game, quote, "I just asked for the ball. I hadn't touched the ball since the first quarter. With 10 minutes left to go in the fourth, still hadn't touched it. I just thought at that junction in the game, I didn't want the game to get far out of hand," end quote. Beckham said to follow up his teammate, "When you have a guy like that who puts all of this into the game, the endless hours of rehab, all the attention detail in the room, he wants to be great." I do want to make another point here.
While we say that, I believe that I did my best lip reading, and Landry was telling Freddie, "Do your fucking job." That was what I saw. Do your fucking job. Well,
and to your point about that comment, after that, while the Browns were basically the game was ending, what was Freddie Kitchens doing? Observing the defense? No, he was trying to play therapist with Jarvis Landry on the sideline as the team was as the game basically the game's being put away.
I did.
So Freddie Kitchens, you can't make it up.
What do you
as the defense is getting marched upon? Where's Freddie? Hey man, look, I don't know what's going on. Coach the fucking game. Coach the game. Coach the game.
Let me ask you this: would Bill Belichick have ever?
I know it's just
walk over and try to make up with
in
the middle of a game when he's in the heat of it? Like, I just don't.
All right, I think it's a good time. Well, another first down for Kyle Murray. I'm going to go talk to Jarvis. You know what, buddy? Do that after the game. You're getting lapped. Okay. Jarvis and Beckham, this locker room now is very fractured. It's been fractured for a while. It is now counterpoint now. I think there's 3 or 4 factions in this locker room. One is the Beckham-Landry unit, and there's probably people around that unit. You got Baker, and I would actually say Baker and Freddie still. I think that's a fraction of this unit. I think also there's a lot of individuals just running around trying to figure out things. And then there's Chubb. And I don't know where Chubb stands in all of this right now. And I'm sure he's more of an outside observer at this point. But Jarvis and Beckham definitely are the leaders on this team. They are definitely.
Well, here's where we're at right now. When I think about the possibilities and the potential and what the guys that I would listen to on that team, obviously Odell Beckham Jr. And I'm tired of people. Odell, he has done nothing but good. He has showed up to every game. Guy blocked
hard in that game. Guy got depleted in that final stupid drive and keeps getting up and playing. I don't want to hear
right. And is playing with, like I said, the sports hernia, all that stuff. The bad drop, I can live with that. It was brutal. It was pretty bad. That was a pretty egregious drop.
By the way,
but the drive
Beckham
moved
needs
on.
to make that catch. Yep. You're right. And by the way, good point.
So, that's there. But at the same time, Odell, Jarvis, Baker, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt is slowly getting a voice, and one that I think should continue to be used positively and listened to. Mac Wilson, and here's something that has gotten buried in all of this conversation today so far. Doesn't look like the Browns are going to sign and retain Joe Schobert, and that to me
came out last week
is just horseshit.
Well, let's get to the optimist. Let's get to the leader here, right? John Dorsey's done some good things. He's been one of the better GMs we've had in this era from '99. But he is losing sight of the biggest problem that's been in the Browns for a long time. The Browns don't know how to harvest talent and make them into a winning culture. A lot of players leave this team and go on to have Jordan Poyer last night for the Bills, making big plays in big spots. He was in Cleveland at one point. You see all these different players that go out in these different teams. The one
What's
of
his
the
face
twins,
just put up 1,000 yards. Oh my gosh, former Buckeye, you lost your mind. Where's my brain? Why does my brain do this?
I don't know. As you're thinking about that player, there's many examples though. Cam Irving's having a nice career for Kansas City. There's many examples of how Browns have left town and they go to different places and they harvest talent. Yes, Dorsey's done a nice job of bringing in
Carlos
talent.
Hyde.
Yep. But the Browns have not done a nice job so far of harvesting talent that they have in their own building and building them and grooming them to be better players on the field. It hasn't happened. The outlier's Chubb. Chubb is outplaying this team. I'd actually say Landry last year is outplaying this team. Schobert is outplaying this team.
Yeah, Landry's close this season too with the effort. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree.
It's on Baker in a lot of sense, but
I agree. I just think this team is again losing sight of. Well, if it doesn't work, we're just going to cut bait on a bunch of things. You need to cut bait for sure on some things, but don't cut bait on everything. And I don't want to what Jared's alluding to. I think I don't want to speak for you, but I think I'm tired of blaming most of the players here because. Even Baker, and I'm down on Baker right now. I don't think he's playing well, but you got to retain Baker. You got to get some new infrastructure around to help him out.
Yeah.
And Njoku, I'm on the opposite end. But again, it's another example.
Well, I'm with you. Yeah, that's just a weird that Njoku thing. So apparently the word is that Njoku wasn't running correct routes. He wasn't. He had issues with blocking and stuff. What was he doing during practice? Whatever it was, they didn't end up putting him out there. And I'm going to keep saying it. I don't know. Seals Jones had another decent game. They can survive that stuff. Well, they can survive it, is what I'm saying. Not having Njoku turn out to be what they wanted, but
yeah, I was gonna
it's
say, I don't
just
think
weird. The same thing with Higgins, and it's just weird shit going on. Just weird stuff. Weird stuff.
Duke Johnson's gone. I mean, this happens a lot on this team. It's happened a lot throughout the years, and it's happening still. Dorsey has not done a nice job of retaining talent and harvesting them in Cleveland. It's not gone well. And that somewhat goes, and I think not all of it, but part of that does go on to Dorsey. And Dorsey needs to do a better job. Is there something wrong?
No, it's me. I had something on my hat.
Okay, I was going to say, shit.
No,
I was having one of those
me.
moments like, fuck, is it like mayonnaise in my mouth or something?
It's my ADHD.
But the bigger point is here, I think this, okay, there's a lot of work to do next year. This is not going to be an easy fix. I believe it could be a quick fix, but I don't think it's going to be an easy fix. I think there's a lot of work.
With this much talent on the team, it could very well be a very quick fix if, oh, God. To me, it still comes down to being a team and having an identity that.
They're fighting identities on this team.
Oh,
they're also having a hard time again.
Nothing more obvious than that.
Yeah, they bring in these players and they do give these situations. It's like, here's another example. And I went off on him. I'm not trying to pick on the guys. It's not his fault. He's not being put out there. But why is Hilliard still playing at this point in the year? Like, what else do you need to see from him? And okay, I'm actually going to tip my cap. Ratley had one nice play for the first time. He did a nice job on the sideline, made a play.
Yep.
Even that said, I don't want to see Ratley anymore.
No.
These guys, we have seen these players. They are not what you need to go to big places.
No.
Seals Jones, nice player. He's a backup. He's not a starter. That's why that play across the middle, he fumbled. He is not a starter. You can see it. Why are we putting these guys in big positions? Demetrius Harris started for Njoku? I agree not playing Njoku, but Demetrius Harris, Seals Jones,
I think we're focusing a lot on the offense. Is there a reason why you mentioned Wilkes and wanting to go into Arizona and get revenge or whatever, but can we just talk really quickly about the lack of containment, the lack of stopping the run game for Arizona, and on top of that, I understand that we're missing Olivier Vernon and Myles Garrett, but can we please dial up some sort of pass rush utilizing, I don't know, a safety or a linebacker or two or something like?
Not interested in blitzing.
It was non-existent. There was zero pressure, and you just cannot do that.
First game all year, Richardson didn't show up. He did not play well.
Mm-hmm.
I think Wilson is good in pass coverage. I don't think Wilson's good in run coverage. I think Wilson, he had some missed tackles again. But in pass coverage,
had a brutally awful missed tackle.
I know he did. Wilson, though, in passing, see, we found something in Wilson, though. Wilson can actually really go nicely in a pass game. I like that. And I think Wilson over time will get better in the run.
Which is what their linebackers were supposed to do when you had the defensive line that you thought you were going to have.
Well, we don't have that. And I'll be honest with you, the Myles Garrett suspension is, I mean, it just hangs over your head and hangs over your head. In this game, it just was so obvious because Arizona's not good, and the Browns couldn't do anything against that offensive line. I mean, it was sad. And again, why not? I just don't. Steve Wilkes checked out. That's another guy. You won't see him next year, no matter who's coaching. He gone. And if he comes back, well, that's another mistake. And again, this
I think I got to be honest with you. How do you keep Monken around either?
Oh my God. Well, Monk.
I don't know the amount of influence that he's got on Freddie with the way that they're calling these plays this season. I honestly don't. But the amount there's something going on that you fight your identity that much.
I would say this.
The universe.
I don't know what to think of Monken, and that's not positive or negative. I just don't have an opinion. I have no idea what he does. I don't know what he does good or does bad. Myles Garrett, though, is a bigger problem. This was the first game, too, that we had not seen since last year. Tackling was terrible. No one cared. No one was making good tackles. Everyone had a bad day tackling on this team. Denzel Ward got his ankles broken on a couple plays. And again, the team just wasn't ready, wasn't focused from start to finish on this team. And again, that has been something where we had not seen since Hugh Jackson. What we saw in this game, I mean, ankles are broken. Everything's just getting weird. They're now, and here's another, just a small example, but it's an important one. Another thing too, Lamb now starts, even though Hubbard's back. They're still trying to fix the offensive line. I mean, just all going and going and going. I'll tell you, to me, it's funny. Baker and Kitchens look really nervous. They both look really nervous. But to me, the guy who should be feeling the heat is Dorsey. Dorsey's got to be saying to myself, what the hell do I do here? Because if you're one loss away from having a worse record than you did in 18. And you're probably going to lose one more game. So you're going to be 7-9 best? I mean, is there any chance they get to 8-8? I say no. By the way, you could go double digits. Boy, if they go 6-10 and they retain Kitchens, wow. You want to talk about it?
The way that they lost against Arizona, I think, does fit the category of catastrophic. But you know what? What the hell do I know? Right? What do I know?
Wait. What
do either of us know? What does anyone know? Apparently, the only one who knows anything about the Browns and what's going on is Mike Silver. By the way, I got to mention that real quick.
Yeah, we'll get to him in a second too. I think the bigger thing though in this. I think the bigger thing in this game, though, that became apparent again, as Kyler Murray outplays Baker Mayfield. Can Baker get fixed for next year?
I think
these last two games, I think I'm now saying this. I think he can. But he is really going through the ringer now. These last two games can't come fast enough for him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he really has a hard road ahead. I think Baker can do it. Baker's proven he can do it.
Yeah.
But I'm not as confident after this game. That's the one thing
I'm not as confident
about.
because I don't know who's going to be at the reins of all of this next season. And I know. And I can't trust. The bottom line is you can't trust any of the decisions that come out of this organization. You can't trust them.
None. And by the way, here's why I'm really bothered by this game. This game was for people who've forgotten, Arizona Cardinals had the worst pass defense in the league. And the Browns couldn't fucking throw the ball times consistently. They had some plays. But do you know how many times the Browns couldn't get the passing game going? They threw the ball 43 fucking times.
Baker's accuracy did not look all that great.
It's folks, it's scary. I
would also wonder how his hand's feeling still too. I would.
By the way, there's a lot that goes into this. I'm just saying, I am getting concerned about things can break you. I think Baker's getting broken. I'm seeing a guy who's getting broken. I'm hoping an offseason can heal this, but he's getting broken. I mean, that press conference was jarring. People should watch it. It's on the Browns website. It's on the Browns Twitter page.
Don't tell people to watch it.
No, you should. Because we need to start
I don't want to watch it.
Gonna...
I don't want to feel awful.
No, I'll watch it for you. It was awful. It was awful. And I'll tell you,
you know, I go media blackout after a Browns loss. It's not the best way to run a Cleveland sports podcast, but at the same time, I can't do it because it just drains me. It drains me.
Here's the other thing that's going to be very interesting that I do want to get into now. What are they going to do with Team Jarvis and Team Beckham? Mm-hmm. Because this is now a tandem. And by the way, I'm going to state this before we get down to what I think the Browns are going to do. I would keep both. I think both are very good players.
Oh, absolutely.
I think both play their ass off. Okay, I would keep both. Okay. But this team, you can see it. This team is starting to align itself around those two players. Well, and it's going to be interesting to see how this moves in motion here.
You know how insecurities affect stuff like this, and if
I know,
and coaches who have the backing of the owner or the front office and the franchise, their egos will get the best of them, and they will get those potential people that could be a problem out of town.
Well, that's why I'm bringing it up and
that would be dumb.
That'd be dumb. So Mike Silver reported today, going off of what Beckham said in the previous reports by Jay Glazer. Jay Glazer reported back in the Bengals. Let's just do a recap here of Beckham. So Beckham had those weird comments before the Bengal game. Then the Bengal game, right before the kickoff act, Jay Glazer said, "Come get me out of here." And then now today, Mike Silver, today's being Monday the 16th. Now Silver saying now it's Landry and Beckham saying it during the game, whatever else, during the Arizona Cardinal game. Okay, fine. Here's the thing. And I do believe some of this is true.
I'm sorry, but quotes of convenience for Mike Silver. I think he's a hack. I think that he loves stirring shit, especially when it has to do with Cleveland. I think that he'd have been better off trying to pull this shit after the Ravens game. That would make more sense to me. That Jarvis Landry would want to go to a team like Baltimore as opposed to a team like Arizona. So I can't buy into any of the shit that comes out of Mike Silver's mouth. Not somebody who claims to be a journalist and then when approached with an honest question decides to block me. And then I talk to him on another one of my Twitter pages to find out why he's blocking me. And he whines like a baby and tries to call me out in a retweet that came off really awkwardly. The guy is a complete fucking hack. Bottom line, hack. You're a hack, Mike. Hack. All right, go ahead.
Okay. We'll do a Mike Silver podcast during Christmas.
I can't help it. I'm going to get it out there. There's plenty. Cleveland hates Mike Silver because Mike Silver is a hack.
I will say this. Mike Silver has some vendetta against Cleveland at times, and it comes off very, very throughout the year. So I wanted to describe. Okay. All that to be said, I think, though, these comments, along with Glazer, because Glazer had the same story, okay? We can take this forever, it's worth whatever else. I do think, though, there is a tandem here of Beckham and Landry who are ready to leave town. And I do think you need to work on saving them and keeping them in Cleveland. Because if you lose those two and you keep Freddie or whatever else, I think there's some decision. Basically, Jared, long story short, there's some big decisions that need to be started making now about next year. Right now. Are you going to bring... I think they should, and I think they need to. You need to bring McCarthy. You know what? I'll even go a step further. Bring McCarthy. Urban Meyer was at the Redskin game. I would give him a call. I would give Jim Harbaugh a call. I'd definitely give McCarthy a call. I would give, Day a call too at Ohio State. You got to start getting these people waking up and saying, hey, how are we going to change this? Because the one thing I'm convinced by, Jared, I cannot see Freddie Kitchens, I lost his name for a second, coming back. Can't see it. I'm going to be the most miserable fucking prick if I had to talk about him all the way through September.
Because it's going to be the same damn thing of there they go again, trying to force something that isn't going to work.
I just don't.
Right.
Not,
I mean,
right.
even I think I'm on board now, Andy. I didn't know how I felt after watching that complete collapse and them. They looked as awful as I had a feeling they would in Arizona. They looked as terrible as I thought they would, out of sorts.
It is also predictable. You could just feel it. If you watch that Bengal game, if it wasn't for a miracle PI call, that whole thing was about ready to unravel too.
And the pick six. They didn't have the points to win that game without Ward's pick six.
Pick six in that game. The Dolphins game, throwing the ball across the fucking middle when you're up 14 points. All these things you keep adding up. People have pushed that aside during these wins. But that's why these wins haven't felt good. And I want to get something to Beckham too. I know people, not me, not Jared, but other people taking personally, like, hey, he's talking against Cleveland. I don't think Beckham's talking against Cleveland. I think he's talking about the Browns. And that's very different here. I think Beckham likes playing Cleveland. I think Beckham actually wants to do well in Cleveland. I actually think Beckham has, outside of Landry, some other people he likes on this team. He's shown it throughout the year at times where he got excited about, what's his name, Giuseppe, during the preseason game. He's shown excitement for other people doing good things on his team. But the bigger thing is here, there is not a good culture here. And it showed up after that first drive against the Titans. It's been here all year. It hasn't felt right the whole year. It hasn't. He's got to go. Sorry. I don't know what to say. I mean, here's the way I put it to people out there saying, well, maybe, I don't know. Okay. How is the excitement level of Freddie Kitchens coming back with this team next year? I'm lukewarm to negative.
Oh, there's no excitement.
I don't see this team improving. Going back to Baker for a second, because we haven't had a chance to talk about this. I talked to a former NFL player last week about it. And Baker apologized, which is good. But you cannot be saying things against the training staff after a game.
I told you that was, and my theory around all of that. And it's not an excuse for Baker. It aggravates me because I feel like what Baker was doing there was completely pandering to Odell. Like it was kind of sniveling in a way. It was like him trying to force himself out there to show that he had Odell's back in a weird way that really made him look like an asshole.
And it actually puts Beckham in a weird light still. Like it doesn't make him feel like he's in any better of a light. You know what I mean? From something like that. So like, hold on for, there's something like multiple people calling you during a podcast. But the bigger thing here too, with all this while this is going on with Baker and all this other stuff, he tried to defend Beckham. I know, I agree with you, but it came off so weird, Jared.
That's what I mean. It was him. It's like Baker is doing anything to try to spark some sort of relationship with Odell or something. It is undeniable that there is some sort of disconnect between those two this season. There just is. And I don't know what it is. I feel like it's the same problem with when they try to force him the ball all the time, especially to start a game. It's like those things would open up if you just handed the ball off to Nick Chubb to start the game. How are you?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Agree.
You're not setting that stuff up. You're not setting up plays to Odell. You're not setting that stuff up. You're just forcing it in the beginning of the game, and it's not working. And then you go away from it, and you don't hear from him the rest of the game. I just don't. I don't like it. What are we getting here? What, breaking news?
No, wow isn't something that I was just thinking about what you're saying, and as I did multitasking. It's been a crazy part of Jared and I's life. Is wow about something that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But here's the whole thing too, to what you were saying. I just get sick and tired of the Browns having distractions, more distractions. This team needs to take, we're going to start saying it, a practice of, why don't you have your actions tell what's going to happen? I really don't want, like Jared, as soon as the season ends, if we don't have any Browns news until the draft, I will be ecstatic. That would be really nice.
Yeah, but that ain't going to happen.
No,
that's not where they're at right now. That's not where they're at right now. If
you were John Dorsey, what would you be doing right now?
narrowing down possible coaches for the 2020 season.
I would also be really wondering who is sticking around outside of Freddie. Who on this team are you keeping around? Are we really done with Njoku? I'm okay with that. That's fine. Are we really done with Schobert? Not okay with that.
No, I'm not okay with that at all. That really frustrates the hell out of me.
That
That's
really
a sign. That's a sign that you're going to be getting rid of the wrong people.
That's right. That's right. Are we going to
are we done with Demarius Randall?
Looks like it. Higgins?
We're done with Higgins.
Are we going to re-sign Hunt?
Is Red Wine going to be sticking around? See, they've invested in this guy, and then you turn around and
yeah, it doesn't look so good.
Terrible.
But I'll tell you the one pick who stands out. I'll tell you the pick a guy stands out sorely is still Greedy Williams. And I know he's a rookie, and you got to.
Well, that's what I mean. Red Wine looked awful in the corner of the end zone yesterday too.
Yeah, he did.
Because all he had to do, he watched the ball coming, and then he turned back around. He saw the ball coming, and then faced the. It didn't make any sense the way he defended that pass in the end zone.
I know.
Did not make sense to me whatsoever.
No. Wilkes has had a really bad year too.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's kind of been handed a weird deck of cards after that Pittsburgh game.
And see, all this is, and what's interesting about all of what we're saying here, you still have to get Myles Garrett reinstated. You still got to figure out what the hell's going on in Baker Mayfield. He had a bad year. Is it really all Freddie? I think Freddie is a big portion of it, but I'll be honest with you, I think Baker's also, there comes a point where it's like, is it really that poorly of coaching? Jared, he's in the bottom 30s of quarterback rating. There's only 32 teams.
Yeah, I don't know, Andy. And I don't think that's something we're going to know until next year. I don't think, we're not going to. The problem is, you got to figure out where this lack of, there's a handful of things. There's the batted down balls at the line of scrimmage. There's the issues with, he didn't have offensive line issues the first half of the season, and they still look like shit.
Yeah, I mean,
on the back end of the season, he's got offensive line issues that are really piling up. I don't know how hurt his hand is, but he's starting to look skittish again. The offense, again, not getting the ball off, until, the clock's about to hit zero, or they don't. They did have other line of scrimmage pre-snap issues during this game against Arizona a couple of times, besides the delay. So I don't. There's so much to look at right now, and all of the things that I'm seeing, I attribute to a team issue. And it's just not there, and that's on Freddie.
I think it's on Freddie. I also think Dorsey really, two things, actually three. Dorsey needs to figure this out. This is on Dorsey. Dorsey put him in charge. So there's a lot here of things that he's going to have to manipulate and figure out here in the offseason. And if Freddie comes back, God help you, John. I hope you can figure this out with him. Two, Baker Mayfield, and I will say this too, Beckham and Landry need to be welcoming. Baker and those two need to have a big powwow and be like, hey, how can we make this team better on the passing game? And by the way, then once you guys agree to a date, you need to call and make sure that Nick Chubb is in the room too. Because Nick Chubb is your best player, and you need to make sure that people start realizing that. Because I think that will take the pressure off you guys and allow you to do bigger things. And then they re-sign Hunt. I would have Hunt in that crew too. Because
they better re-sign Hunt. He's restricted too, so
but they get first. They get first dibs, right? But again, I bring it up because we don't know right now. I just see a lot of work to do. And if you start cutting guys or you start trading guys like Landry and Beckham, which I think could happen, the cupboard is bare. There's
Andy,
not a
we
lot
start
of guys.
seeing that stuff. I'm sorry, I got to start with this. Not signing Schobert is the sign that things are not going to be done the way that we want them done.
And by the way, if I had to bet on it, I bet Schobert's not back. I don't think he's going to be back.
2 year. Why can't even a 2 year? A 2 year.
Schobert basically has come out with his comments pleading to stay in Cleveland, and they are not obliging. And I've been here too long to know that means he's not coming back.
We saw this with certain offensive linemen.
Yep, Demarius Randall too. I don't think Randall's going to be back either. The Browns have a whole lot of deck shuffling to do on a team that doesn't need deck shuffling right now. And that's why
they have other shit that they can be worried about, and
and the reason why I bring this up is the reason why I bring all this stuff up is I keep hearing people like, well, maybe you got to trade Landry, maybe you got to trade Beckham. If you trade those two, that just creates more problems. I see more things here that you create problems with because Callaway's gone, Higgins is gone, and so your top 4 wide receivers are going to be gone. Top 4. Usually teams lose like 1 or 2. We're going to lose 4. Browns are going to lose 4. It's a lot. So we are not going
to. How did we get here?
It's amazing. It's amazing how this is all just transpired.
Even as late as 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon, I was debating getting tickets to go to the Ravens game.
God bless Cameron Billman. He still wants to go to a Browns game this year, so I'm going to try to go.
I ain't going.
I might go to Cincinnati. I haven't decided yet. I'm not going to Ravens game, but I might go to Cincinnati.
Tickets will be really inexpensive. You can go for the first half and then go sit at Flannery's.
$40 at the 50.
Have somebody throw me through a glass pane glass window. Apparently that happened a couple weeks ago. Anyway.
Down for another podcast. So here's the basic thing. We will do another podcast before we break for Christmas, and we'll preview the Ravens game. But I think the basic thing here that I think you and I have kind of break down here before we get to the Corey Kluber thing. The Browns have a lot of work to do, and there's only 2 games left. But there is a lot of work to do between now and free agency and now and the draft. There is a lot of work to do. Because the one thing I am certain, Jared, there needs to be some changes here. This cannot continue. But, again, would not blow it up. And I am worried now about Baker. I'm worried. I'm confident he can do it, but I'm
blowing it up right now would not. He would be at the brunt of all of it.
Yeah. Well, again, if you trade away
that would ruin Baker.
If you trade away Landry and or Beckham, whatever, I think that's blowing it up to me.
If you keep Freddie Kitchens because you think you're taking care of Baker that way and blow it up with the rest of the guys because they no longer want to play for Freddie Kitchens, that's not gonna work out. That's not gonna work out.
I'm with you.
You need that team to rally around each other, and we saw what happened when they rallied around each other last season.
Yeah. Run the ball. That's going to be the biggest thing. Run the ball. And that's my last point here. For Nick Chubb to be leading the league in yards and to still have a record of 6-8 says everything you need to know. And again, it is not the biggest plays in these games, but I thought it said it all at the end of the game when they brought in Hilliard to run in the fourth quarter with the starters and not Chubb. It's a joke.
Yep.
How in the hell could Hilliard be out in big... Whatever. Is there anything else we should touch upon about our Uncle Lewis of Browns here?
No, I don't want to talk about them anymore at all. I don't.
Okay, well, I'm going to bring up some big news as we wear our C caps here. The Corey Kluber run-ins.
Cleveland Indians.
The Tribe trades Kluber on Sunday before the Browns game. If there's ever a PR move to do something before a Browns game to bury Corey Kluber getting traded,
that was the way to do it.
The Indians have done that. I hate to say it. I don't think that was an accident. Corey Kluber, look, two-time Cy Young Award winner. I mean, he was the leader in 16. He led us to Game 7. I know he didn't pitch well in Game 7, but his 2016 run was unbelievable in the playoffs. He pitched great against the Red Sox. He pitched great against the Blue Jays. And people forget, the first 2 games against the Cubs, he was fantastic. He just had one bad Game 7. I know in 17 he really had his struggles in the playoffs. In 18 he never really saw him. Probably the reason, 18, we saw him again in the playoffs, didn't play well. And then last year, 19, he didn't really pitch at all. The bigger thing here that I think caught people's eyes was Delino DeShields and Emmanuel. I know that's not how you pronounce his last name. It has a unique, but it's Classe C.
Is it Classe? I haven't even looked yet.
It's a weird pronunciation.
It's not Clace?
No.
It's not.
Anyways,
it's a Classe.
I'm going to be the optimism of opposite here. I understood this trade, and I actually liked it.
I understood the trade. I don't know how much I liked it when I saw Delino DeShields involved.
Okay. So let me get to my whole, but with a caveat. I like this with a caveat.
Mm-hmm.
You have now opened up the doors to money. I want to see the Indians reinvest this money into the team.
What, 17 this year and 18 next year or something like that,
yeah.
right?
And with the money changing hands and whatever else, it's going to be $14 million off the books for right now. So $14 million less on the budget, $14 million you'd have to think to spend. Okay. I want to get to Kluber, though, first. Kluber should be, and I think he will be, as an all-time great. Again, I think people in the postseason only remember the recent. People need to remember he pitched great also in the playoffs at times, too. I know his last start in Houston was so bad. And we talked about that in this podcast. And that was a big start for him. It just didn't go well. The one thing I want to bring up about Kluber, though, is...
Well, the Astros were cheating, too, so we'll leave that out there.
Well, that's another story. Yeah, they're no saints.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, by the way, I think they're going to get hammered hard by everybody.
As they should.
As they should. By the way, Patriots aren't saints either. Which is a whole nother story.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the bigger thing here is with Kluber is he really, through a time where the Indians were not making the playoffs every year, through that little period right before they started going on their run again, he really was a brightest sunshine. He won the Cy Young Award that year. The Indians didn't make the playoffs. And he was a consummate pro. You never heard him complaining. He was very quiet on the mound. And there was obviously some tension that happened after 18 in the playoffs. And he kept his mouth shut, and he went out there and pitched every day. And he was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful way of how this team should be remembered. He just was consummate pro.
He somehow
oh my gosh.
didn't kick Bauer's ass.
No, wasn't playing with drones before big games. And
God, if there was ever a guy in that rotation that I thought would want to fight Bauer, it would be Kluber. I would love to know. I would love to get into Kluber's head and find out what he actually thought about Bauer.
I'm with you.
Just something I'm interested in.
And so all that to be said, Kluber was a great Indian, and it will always be remembered as that. Now, I liked this trade because the Indians had too much starting pitching. And I know that's a weird statement, but I'm going to say it. They had too much starting pitching.
Yep.
You were going to have to sit even someone like Savali. You couldn't pitch all these guys. We saw him pitch last year.
We were talking about it last season. There's guys that are ready now.
They're ready now. And Carrasco's your veteran. So again, it isn't like the Indians don't have a veteran. They have Carrasco ready to go. I mean, your top three still are Bieber, Clevenger, and Carrasco. You are fine. You're good. And by the way, we saw Plesac. We saw Savali.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Jeffrey Rodriguez. Plutko's a good 5. You're good. As for the player itself, Delino DeShields to me is easy. Ready for this? He does two things really well. He is a great glove. His glove and defensive numbers are out of this world. And the guy in big spots gets what? Sacrifice hits. He does a nice job of bunting. He does a nice job of moving runners over.
That's
right
up Tito's alley.
That's right up Tito's alley. And that's kind of something the Indians need.
I know.
It made so much sense. I mean, it just checks a lot of boxes. Okay.
You're not getting anything above. You're getting about a 240.
He's your average starter. Actually, to stay on the outfield for a second. So you definitely got Oscar Mercado. We know he's going to be playing every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now it becomes a bigger question of does Franmil Reyes, are we really going to see him in right? Because Delino DeShields also can play. I mean, he can play anywhere.
Yeah, you don't have to. So then who's going to DH?
Well, that's my point. Franmil Reyes is built to be a DH, we're all being honest.
Yeah.
And then if you got the Naquin Luplo connection, holy cow, Jared, I like this outfield a lot.
Yeah.
It's really not a bad outfield at all. I think this trade, though, the bigger name is Emmanuel. Manuel is supposed to be nasty.
Well, I mean, you're talking about a guy that comes out of the bullpen, and the numbers that Mandy Bell put up really put it into perspective. Thank you, Mandy, for all your amazing work on Twitter, getting this info out there. But the Indians' bullpen was averaging like 90-mile-an-hour fastballs, right?
Correct.
The entire
finesse. They were finesse pitchers.
And this dude's throwing upper 90s.
Oh, my
I mean,
gosh.
he just blows
Muscle.
out of the water. And there was one other stat that went along with that just made you go, wow, this kid is going to be something. It's going to be something.
Karinchak and Clase, hey, let's get excited. That's going to be good. We know, like, this bullpen starting to get some parts together. If Jefry Rodriguez isn't starting to get some parts together. You can start to feel it. It gets exciting.
Yeah, it's setting up to be, like we hoped, a pretty fun season.
Oh, really I think 2020 is going to be big for the Indians. I think they're going to go big places. Now, I want to go back to DeShields for a second, because I think this is a bigger move for two players, Bradley Zimmer and Jake Bauers. I think those two players have to start wondering, Jared, how much longer am I going to be on the Indians? Mm-hmm. Because when I saw this move, I automatically thought, well, Zimmer better play out of his mind this spring.
Well, there you go. That's a sign that I mean, you already got word from him that he didn't want to put in the extra work.
That's right.
I mean, they wouldn't have. This move kind of goes in the face of that.
It does. Well, Jared, big time. And also, it went in the face, too, of, Jake, again, you can tell Jake is a nice kid, so I don't like saying this, because I do like Jake Bauers as a person. I can tell. Yeah. Jake stunk. He's just not an everyday player in the outfield.
Yep.
Sorry. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I don't mean to say him that harshly, but, like, there comes a point where it's like, Jake, like, thanks, man.
Yeah, it was rough.
It was rough. It was rough. So I think those two players are winding down. I think Luplow, I love what he does when he comes against left-handers. Naquin is a righty. The Shields, Oscar Mercado, Franmil Reyes, I think you got your outfield set now. I really do. Now, to the bigger point, what are you going to do with all this money? Everything points to, and Mandy Bell brought this up, but I already thought about it, everything points to second base. The latest rumor is the guy Cesar Hernandez, who was playing for the Phillies last year. 279 hitter, 14 home runs, 71 RBIs. Jared, he would fit nicely right at second base. And if you get him at second base with this line, with everybody around it, the Indians are done.
God, isn't that nice?
I mean, the Indians don't need to do too much more. And
and how much money do they really need to spend on him too?
The trade rumors say this. I don't know who we should attribute this to, but the trade rumors say he's worth about $11 million.
Yeah, that was my guess.
Yeah, so I mean,
that was my guess. Which, I mean, listen, and that's my point. My point is it going to be within the Dolan's budget? Because you know damn well they're playing these numbers not only to try to make a move in that situation, but they also want to leave enough free to make a possible move down the road midway through the season if needed. Before the trade deadline. And at the end of the day, damn well, they just, if they don't have to spend the money, don't want to, period. They will if they have to. I've gotten to the point where I can't pick on the Dolans in that sense. But at the same time, we know by the way that he talked at the beginning of last season that he still likes to piss and moan about money, period.
Well, I'll say Dolans need to spend some money. I think Dolans need to spend some money.
I think they will.
But,
I think they will.
Well, we're going to give it time, but they need to spend some money. Here's the other guy, too, who I know you love. This definitely does open up the pocket if you want to bring Yasiel Puig back, because now you have the money to go out and sign him. I mean, that money is now there to be spent.
That son of a bitch makes that team so much fun.
I mean, look, I'll just say it. If you really want, if you say, hey, Yu Chang's going to go to third, we're going to put Jose at second, we're going to put Frankie's obviously at short, you're going to have Carlos Santana at first. So we're going to put that money into Puig, and Franmil really will be your DH. Okay, fine. You can do that. You can do that now. You have the money to do that now.
I don't think they're bringing Puig back.
I think every rumor is correct. John Heyman reported it about this Hernandez kid. I think that makes all the sense in the world. It just makes so much sense. You pluck him in at second. You can sign him to a 2-year deal. You pay him the money he wants. It makes so much sense. And the Indians need another bat, and he can bat. Good average, good OPS, 741 OPS. That's what you need.
God, how good.
That would do so much for this lineup.
Has Antonetti and crew been?
I agreed. Look,
unbelievable. When you look at the turnover, and what they've been able to plug and play and make happen with limited resources many times. I just between Antonetti and the guys that they're getting and the way Tito is, God, you just think of the first half of last season and how Tito kept that ship afloat. Because there's Tito haters out there, and it drives me up a wall.
Wrong. Push that frustration to Mr. Kitchens. Not
yes, please. Yes. All warranted at First Energy Stadium. Yes.
Yeah. Because again, it's hard to swallow, and I think this is one time Vegas got it wrong because they put the Caesars put out their their odds, and this Indians odds from winning World Series went down, and the Rangers went up. I actually again think Kluber had hit a point where the Indians have moved on from him. The Indians actually needed to do something here to.
They learned to survive without him last year.
They did, and again, like these aren't guys who are just hanger-ons. I mean, we saw Plesac. We saw Savali pitch. I want to see them pitch again.
Yeah.
I want to see them. I don't want to see them pitching in Columbus. I want to see them pitching again here.
Bieber became a star last year at the All-Star game.
Bieber, Clevenger, and Carrasco is your best starting three you can put up against anybody in the world. I mean, those are solid starting three. You throw in those two, and then again, the Indians have made a nice position for Plutko. He's your good go-to in case somebody's injured. And Heffrey proved, who came out of the bullpen, went back to a starter, he can prove he can start too. The Indians have their pieces and parts set up and ready to go.
Yep.
If they solve second base, hard to complain about this team going into next year.
Yeah, the only rankle that we're going to run into now is the talk about Frankie Lindor.
Okay, so let's get to him. The big rumors before the trade with Kluber was everything going to the Dodgers. So here's, and by the way, that has not picked up steam. That has actually kind of calmed down. Then there was a wild thing about Clevenger being part of that deal, which that kind of went away, thank God. So
that would change everything. That would
change. Oh, by the way, you want to talk about
like for what? That doesn't even make sense.
The guy threw it. It was a throw. It was a bad report. I don't want to say it's a bad reporting job. Maybe he heard that, but I don't know. But anyways, there's a guy out of LA said, they might be including Clevenger too. I remember I said, if they include Clevenger, you can. Boy, you want to talk about a nasty podcast,
right? And Jarvis Landry might want to go to Arizona, but go ahead.
Oh, but go ahead. Right. Fair point. Here's what I would say though about the Frankie thing. Now, let's put the Dodgers thing aside. Again, that's lost a lot of steam. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. The Indians right now, though, do need to be careful. And I'm part of this. If you trade Frankie now, I am now going to flip and be upset.
Yeah.
Keep Lindor right where he is.
Yeah.
Antonetti did say it. Can't. You will eject your fan base. And I can't blame it because I will be a part of it. Cannot.
I'm with you because what do you... You are telling the fans you don't want to win this season.
Yeah, if you do that, oh my gosh. Running for the hills, I will be upset. You can't trade him now. Can't.
Oh, that would be awful. All right. All
That
right,
would-
that's it. Just leave it. I'm done. All right.
Okay.
I'm done.
So-
Ugh. It makes me feel icky.
Again, it's gonna be a
It makes me feel icky.
nasty podcast.
No.
That
No.
don't trade him. Do not trade him.
Don't.
Don't trade him. And I don't think that money was freed up to get Lindor. I don't think that at all. I think it has everything to do about this year and next year.
Yeah.
Worry about those 2 years. Get Lindor. Keep him in there. Keep everything going.
Oh, all signs point to trying to win one in the next 2 years.
Oh my God, they are so set up. And again, I know the big guy was Emmanuel, and he's going to be a good. Oh my gosh, it's exciting to think about that coming in the bin. With Karen checking, oh my gosh, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be so much fun.
know.
But I don't think DeShields is a throwaway. I think he's more than what people think. He does the things that this team. If they had another couple guys like this, I'd be more hesitant. But the Indians don't have guys like this.
No, you're right.
Guys who run around in the outfield and make good catches and make good plays.
Yep.
He is a defensive plus, and he is one of the rare guys right now in baseball who gets sacrifice bunts and hits.
Yep.
He led the league twice in sacrifice hits.
Listen,
That's
and with a
something-
pitching staff like this, you're going to need a run or two every once in a while, and that's going to be the way to do it.
Yes.
So
And Daisy's not playing and he's on the bench. That guy's got
sometimes,
speed.
unless it's Friendmel Reyes hitting one out, I'll take that too. But go ahead.
But my right.
Either will work. Either will work.
Either will work. But my final conclusion on this, before we get to the Buckeyes, I liked this trade, but I was sad to see Kluber go. Liked this trade though.
Yeah,
I did.
no,
I liked this trade.
absolutely. That was it. It was thanks for the memories, thanks for everything, Kluber, and best of luck in Texas. We've seen good former Cleveland. We've seen some former Cy Young winners leave Cleveland and end up in Texas before, and here's another one. So there you go.
And by the way, Kluber can turn it around. There's no doubt. And if anybody need a motivation, Kluber. Maybe he finds it, maybe turns it around. Does not mean that was still not the wrong deal. I get that deal. The only caveat again, though, and then we'll get to the Buckeyes.
Hey, Verlander turned it around. We thought he was dead to rights. So
that's right.
There you go.
That's right. The biggest thing here is they need to spend that money. If they sit on this money, you talk about icky feeling Lindor, it's gonna be icky feeling too with the team.
Yeah,
don't seem to spend that money.
Yeah, because it'll feel like you're keeping this team on a leash, and that's right. Is just not.
That's not good. And by the way, that's not going to
bode good for them. No, they'll know that. They'll feel that.
Yeah,
they'll sense it, and they'll play like it.
Yes.
Well, unless Tito can, work that magic.
Correct. As I have a Boilermaker flag behind me, I will now lead in to the Ohio State Buckeyes. They had, it's been a while, but I don't want to say I nailed on the nose, but kind of what I thought. They're a much better team than the Badgers. The Badgers did come out to what Jared thought. They came out and pushed the Buckeyes around. Buckeyes were on snooze control. They hit the snooze alarm at halftime, and the Badgers couldn't do anything in the second half. Dobbins was unbelievable in this game again. Dobbins should have been in New York, by the way.
Absolutely. That is one of the travesties of
that was a mistake.
Of this whole situation.
Nothing against Fields. But Dobbins should have been in New York, not Fields. All that to be said, the Buckeyes did a nice job. Now, that's old news. To the new news, and we'll do a whole podcast like we did last year about the bowl games and stuff. Speak from a neutral fan, I cannot wait for the Buckeyes and Clemson game. That is a great game. There's a lot of history in that game. That is the game that Woody Hayes lost his job and punched a player. Dabo Swinney has beaten the Buckeyes twice since he's been coach there. This game has a lot of juice to it. The last time the Buckeyes and Tigers played, the Buckeyes got their asses handed to them by the Tigers. So there's a lot of energy going in this game.
God, New Year's Eve, that was so painful.
That was a bad loss. That was the one time Meyer had a really bad loss in a big spot. You lose to Iowa when no one's watching, or Purdue on a late night when no one's watching, that's one thing. On New Year's Eve when the whole country's watching, it's a tough L. But this is a big spot for Ohio State. Ohio State, again, this is not just for a playoff game. There's a lot of history here where Ohio State needs to avenge Clemson at some point. Now, will this be it? We'll find out. But this game has a lot of juice to it. And on top of it, Clemson does not feel respected. Clemson, again, still doesn't feel respected.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing that goes into it. Coach Day is another side story here. He has had a wonderful run up here, Jared. He did a nice job this year of handling a lot of situations off the field, but his coaching on the field was wonderful. He has done a great job on the field, and he really has taken the Ohio State to the next level. And they feel like a better team. This is the first time they've had an undefeated season in a long time. They roll into this game against Clemson. Let me just ask you, aside from playing Clemson, which I know is probably annoying, how do you feel after everything has been going on? Now it's a week and a half later.
I feel like this is going to be a close game. I feel like Ohio State has kind of gotten in this habit of not playing to their potential in the first half of the past couple of games.
Mm-hmm.
I've worried a little bit about Fields. Does he have a little leg issue right now too? He's got a little hip issue, I think.
Every one of these teams, I would think aside from LSU, I think could be ready to play tomorrow.
He's gonna, they need this
rest.
So good, thank goodness. 12. He's got 12 more days to rest up for this.
Mm-hmm.
There were people that were kind of talking trash about Ohio State's secondary. I don't think that's gonna continue to be a problem. I think Ohio State wins in a close one. I really do. I just, that J.K. Dobbins and Justin Fields combo is just too much offensively to try to shut down. There's too much talent between J.K. Hill between Hill and Olave, and their wide receiving core is fantastic as well. The defense, they're going to give up a few points to Clemson. There's no doubt about that.
ATNs are wonderful players. Those Lawrence.
But I think Ohio State wins, and I think the over. The over's got to be at like 70.
It's got to be high.
Because I mean, it has to be, because I think that's what we're looking at. I think we're looking at a 70 to 80. I wouldn't even be surprised at a 90-point game.
Vegas early like Clemson. I'm not sure where. I'm going to save that prediction for me for the bowl.
I get why. It could easily end up going that way. It could. I know.
The one thing that would bother me if I'm a Buckeye fan is I don't like how Clemson feels like that they've been disrespected. And Dabo's
you
coach.
gotta also respect Wisconsin and how they came out against Ohio State.
That was,
and you knew it was a possibility.
Yeah, well, you know what? The one thing I did not
and how Ohio State came out in that second half and said, "Oh no, you don't. Oh no, no, you don't. No,
light switch.
Oh, they flipped the old switch, brother. They flipped the switch. Let's see if they can flip the switch in the second half.
That second half was so not competitive, it wasn't funny. And I gotta be honest with you, I was never had a doubt in my mind Ohio State wasn't going to win that game. They're too good.
I didn't. Too good. That's the thing. It didn't feel like it was getting away from them.
Never.
It felt like they were struggling to kind of reel it in a little bit.
Again,
it felt like they needed to get a little bit of focus. It looked like, and this was the thing too. Wisconsin didn't have the energy to keep that up for 4 quarters.
No.
I had a feeling they were going to burn out, and they did.
We'll talk more about this game in our bowl special. The other thing I find interesting before we get to the Cavs and Kevin Love, and we'll wrap it up. I do think it's interesting how no one thinks anything of Oklahoma at all. That no one even thinks they're going to sniff LSU, and LSU's got a cakewalk.
I don't either.
And by the way, I think they're absolutely right.
I don't think
LSU is going to have any problem with Oklahoma. It's interesting though.
Hey, but if they surprise me, I would take Ohio State and OU for a national championship game.
Jalen Hurts. The funny thing is, Jalen Hurts has played in this playoff. Has played in these games. He's got experience.
Well, it's still setting up to be a Joe Burrow Ohio State reunion.
Joe Cool against either team. Joe Cool Buckeyes. Joe Cool Clemson Tigers. Sign me up. I think either one of those are big. Clemson and Buckeyes, I don't know why. I get the feeling that is going to be a stress knuckle ringer.
Yes.
It's going to be overtime.
I can also say this. I think that Ohio State is built to beat LSU. I don't know that Clemson is.
Ooh. Clemson's won a national championship. That's the thing. They've won a national championship. This Clemson is really good. And I don't think Dabo Swinney's crazy. People need to remember this team's really good. Here's my other point about Clemson, right? I would not have thrown Jalen Hurts in New York. That kid ATN should have been in New York too. The running back for Clemson. He is outstanding. Should have been Dobbins, Young, ATN, Burrow. And yes, Burrow should have won the Heisman. Burrow was unbelievable this year. Burrow deserved every bit of that award.
Burrow's going to the Bengals, brother.
For another podcast. It's for another podcast. It's for another podcast. Yeah. Let's not talk about that. You talk about getting sour grapes. You imagine him and Jackson running around.
All right, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Big Ben healthy. It was good to see. It was good to see the Steelers lose like that.
Oh yeah, and after Duck making the comments too of it's just another defense.
Quack, 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 quack.
You might not want to say that. You might not want to say that about the Bills.
Two more thoughts before that too about the NFL real quick. Wild Cowboys-Eagles game this week. I mean, I don't know what time that game is at. I really want to watch that game. That is just got juice written all over it, even though both teams aren't going anywhere. The other thing too, though, the Lamar Jackson train just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling along. And it is rollingly annoying. And the last thing, he's not a bad guy, but it's annoying. He's a Browns fan. And this shit that the Patriots pulled during the Browns game with a scout in the Bengals-Browns game, the Patriots, If anybody thinks this is just a coinky-dink, watch the Teddy Bruschi comments on ESPN. Because he loves the Patriots, and he even said, where there's smoke, there's fire. This is bad.
They're going to lose draft picks.
I think it should lose a lot more than that. That was shaky. Shaky.
Well, and we already know the NFL. We already know how they. We've seen how they handled the deflate gate. So, they're not gonna take it easy on the Patriots. We'll leave it at that.
No,
they're not going to.
Pour it on.
And the Patriots are in a position where they're holding on. I mean, they were able to get things together and win nicely over Cincinnati, but you can see that Tom Brady is taking way too many hits and is really struggling to figure out where to go with the ball. And Cincinnati is just so bad that they were able to take over. But that was
I feel so.
There are signs there that this is now. There are actual signs. We talk about this every year. There are actual signs that this is.
Patriots are done
in New England.
Patriots,
it really is.
Before we get to the Cavs, too, did you see the Saban Belichick documentary? I watched it on HBO.
I did not watch it.
It was interesting. The interesting comments, obviously, that the banter was the film. The one thing that I liked, though, from Belichick, I guess he went on a plane after they had lost, and he said, I saw one of my assistant coaches on his laptop looking up analytics. I shut the fucking laptop down. I said, look, it's about fucking tackling. We didn't fucking tackle in that game. That I liked.
Is this a series? Is this the same producers that did the... Okay, because they just did an Edelman one, too.
Yeah, it's HBO a one-off. Did. It's a one-off on HBO. It's good.
Okay.
It's good inside the scenes, and anyways, I'll leave it there. It was... I can't believe... I
can watch it. I keep forgetting I have HBO on demand. I haven't watched months.
Everybody should watch it.
Cancel it, but
I actually I'm one of the rare Browns fans. I actually like Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick had nothing to do with what happened in Cleveland.
I have to. I mean, the guy's father graduated from my high school, so there you go.
I like Bill. I'm one of the rare guys. I don't mind Belichick. Belichick wanted to stay in Cleveland. He got fired and
and that too.
People need to remember that. All right, okay, Cavs time.
Cleveland Cavaliers.
The Love trade rumors are heating up. Adrian Wojnarowski, I think you're looking at a marketplace here where they'll probably get a protected first-round pick, maybe an expiring contract, and throw in a low-ball player, in quote. And then everybody's been saying this, but Wojnarowski said, I think Kevin Love's ready to go. There's been rumors today that they're trying to get rid of him as of tonight before the Raptors game. I would say I'm going to watch the Raptors game, but if you want a side note to watch, I think it'll be interesting to see if Kevin Love plays tonight. I definitely don't think it's a crazy statement at this point, seeing what's going on with the Cavs. I do want to talk more about Love, though, because I want to go on the court then go off the court again, sadly. Porter Jr. has, not maybe to Cavs fans, Porter Jr. is really playing steadily well. Had a good game against Houston, played well again last night against the Bucks, kind of took a step back against San Antonio, but even in San Antonio, hit a big shot and a big moment in that game. Porter Jr. is starting to get traction, starting to get better. And Sexton had a great night, too, on Thursday. That was a good win for the Cavs. Cavs don't have many of those. They got blown out again against Milwaukee. It really wasn't competitive on Saturday night. Thursday night, they came back. After a back-to-back, by the way, of traveling to San Antonio, came back, down late in that game, tied the game, won in overtime. That was a great Cavs win. They don't have many of those. Thursday night was a great, complete Cavs win. And then you add the Porter stuff on Wednesday night. I know the Cavs went 1-2, and they're not competitive some of these games. There's been worse weeks for this organization. Wasn't a bad week. The only thing that I don't like, that I don't know what you do here, Jared, is this whole situation that's going on with Tristan Thompson at the end of the third quarter. He and Beeline got into it on Thursday night. There was a huge argument. Not a huge argument. There was an angry moment between Tristan and Beeline. Yeah. Tristan got pulled from the game against San Antonio. Then Nance Jr. finished the game. Tristan never came back in.
Yep.
The one thing, Thompson, people need to remember, Thompson was defending Beeline, so I really do think that was a heat of the moment thing. But the Cavs, we aren't to the Browns, but the Cavs drama does need to settle down. They've had a lot of dramatic moments here in the last 2 or 3 weeks and needs to calm down. So if Kevin Love, who I don't want to trade, but I get the trade, I do get the trade, and I think in the long term it makes the Cavs better.
Right.
So I as a fan approve the trade, whatever the fuck that means. But I think Kevin Love going with prospects and draft picks coming back in is a good thing to do. So I get it for the longer term. But, I would like to see that trade happen if it's going to happen, Jared, because I'm ready for this team to move forward more on the court, not off the court stories. There's too much off the court stories with the Cavs right now. There's been too much in the last 2 weeks. The Cavs need to settle that down.
They'll get there. I
think they will too. But all that to be said, for people who want a positive story that maybe things aren't talking about, watch Porter Jr. He is steadily improving, and Harden gave him a nice shout out after the game. After the game against Houston,
that was nice.
By the way, Harden went off. He had 55 points, double nickel in that game, and the Cavs still almost won that game. They were in that game late. Last two things, and I'm done. Ohio State, I know they lost to Minnesota, but they are still playing really good basketball. That was a tough loss to Gophers. Big Ten's loaded. Big Ten's best conference in basketball. Period. So I think you're going to see some losses from the Buckeyes, and I won't get into the Boilermakers. They had a bad loss. Harms got knocked out. Poor Boilermakers. By the way, can Purdue not play fucking the same time the Browns are? God, I know the Browns and Boilermakers clearly don't schedule their lives around me, but they should. Playing both at 4 o'clock is...
Andy, I'm going to give you a little advice here. Watch the Boilermakers. It's not even a joke.
No, it's not. It's
not a joke. That's serious. It's real serious.
I don't blame you. Don't blame you. The other comment, too, the best college basketball game I saw this year was at Michigan, Oregon. Wonderful game. Michigan back and forth, and Oregon ended up pulling it out late. But college basketball, early from what I've seen, has been very good. I'm a huge college basketball fan. People are new to the show. So I will be tuning in and probably giving zippy thoughts throughout the year. But anyways, that's my quick roundup on basketball. And again, finally, Jared, the Browns need to settle this down. They won't. I agree. The head shake says it all. They will not do it, but I'm really hoping they do. And for the first time, I'm wondering and hope. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll still be a very good pro. I am concerned, though, about Baker's. What's going on?
2 more weeks. 2 more weeks of a circus. It's not going to change. This is what they are. Who they are, Andy. They are who they are. Not going to change. And I would. There's nothing. There's nothing else to say. Nothing else to say.
No, I'm with you. I wish I had something more to say about that. And we'll do a preview show of the Ravens game later this week, and we'll also do a bowl preview show after that. And boy, tell you the one thing I'll end on too. Boy, there is never a dull moment in this town. There's been a lot going on with all three teams in the last 72, 48 hours. You got the whole Lindor rumor, then the Kluber trade, the Browns itself. And this Love stuff and Tristan Thompson getting in arguments with Beeline. All three teams have had a lot of stuff off and on the field.
This podcast is brought to you by Waiting for Next Year. Check them out, original Cleveland sports reporting at waitingfornextyear.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. Twitter is at CLE and Beyond. That is at CLE and Beyond. Shoot us an email, andyandjared@gmail.com, JARID, andyandjared@gmail.com. Also, don't forget, we are on Facebook at facebook.com/Cleveland and Beyond. He's Andy Billman. I'm Jared Watson. The Browns have exhausted me, sucked the life out of me once again for the 20th season in a row. Take care. Talk again soon. Hallelujah. Holy shit. Where's the Tylenol?
Great to see Dontrell Hilliard playing in big spots late in the fourth quarter.
Shut your mouth.